So welcome everyone. In this video we're going to be solving exponential equations, and unlike before we have to rewrite both sides. We usually just have to rewrite the right hand side, but now we have to do both of them. So they both have to be written with the same base. And to do this I would just start checking numbers. If this side's divisible by 2, keep going till you're done, and then if this side's divisible by 2, keep going till you're done. If this one is divisible by 2, this one isn't, then you can't use that number. So I would check 2s, I check 3s, I check 4s, 5s, and that's probably about as high as you can go for some of these simple problems, and that should be able to get it. Now if this has a 6 right here, most likely you'll divide this by 6 if this base here won't simplify, but this is usually a large number right here. It's big enough. And I think this number right here, 81, is divisible by 3. So we're going to go ahead and start dividing 81 by 3. I get 27. Now I'll take 27, divide it by 3, and hopefully you guys can remember where we did this a week or so ago. That'll give me 9. 9 divided by 3 will give me 3. And then last of all, I take 3 divided by 3. I get 1. Now remember, this division by 3, you have to keep going till you get to 1, and you can see that I divide by 3's 4 times. And what that tells me is that 3 to the 4th power negative n has to be the same thing as 81 raised to the n power. Now we'll go ahead and do this other side. We'll start dividing 243 by 3. That'll give me the 81. So you can see once I get 81, I go 4 times down to get 1. So this will be 4 times and plus that 1, so this is a total of 5 times. So now 243 has to be equal 3 to the 5th power. Now let's go ahead and simplify these two exponents. I've got 3 to the 4n, and it's a negative 4n, equals 3 to the 5th. And now another thing that we learned last time in the last video that we watched is when your bases are alike, they're both 3's, I can set my exponents equal to each other. We'll take 4 to the n equals 5, a nice easy equation to solve. I want to get this to be a positive 1 there. I know that a negative 4 divided by a negative 4 gives me 1. So I'll divide this side by a negative 4, and I have to do it to the other side by a negative 4 to keep my algebra balanced. And so this tells me n equals a negative 5 over 4. Now I can go ahead and check this. Let me pull up my calculator here and turn it on. I'm going to take 81. I'm going to raise it to, I have a negative 5/4, right? There's a negative, and inside there I'm put a negative. There we go. So a double negative there will make it positive, and I should get 243. So there we go. All right, we have another one that we're going to do that's a little bit easier. Here I have a 2, which is a nice easy base. So I'm going to take this one, get this other side to be the same thing. So let's take 8. I think most of us know we're going to be dividing by 2. 4 divided by 2 equals 2, and 2 divided by 2 equals 1. So we're down to a 1, so that means I have to do this 3 times. Okay, let me go ahead and move this down a little bit so I have a little bit more room to write. Now the left hand side will be 2 raised to the 3 power, and then I'm going to have 2r minus 3, so 2r minus 3 equals 2 squared. Now do you see how we did this one over here with a negative? Remember what we did here? That negative had to be multiplied in. The same idea right here. I have to take that 3 and multiply it in. So now this equation, you bring it down here, this equation is going to be 3 times 2 is 6r, 3 times a negative 3 is a negative 9, equals 2 to the squared power. So all this weird stuff right here, 8 raised to 2r minus 3 is the same as 2 raised to the 6r minus 9. Okay, now remember I had to get my bases the same. Now that the bases are the same, I can set these numbers equal to each other. So let's go ahead and do that. So 6r minus 9 equals 2. I'll add 9 to each side to get that 9 to go to 0. That gives me 6r equals 11. Divide each side by 6. I know that 6 over 6 is the same as 1. So r equals 11 over 6. So let's go ahead and type this in our calculator and see what happens here. So my answer is 11 over 6. So I have 8 raised to the 2 times 11 divided by 6 minus 3. And it better be equal to 4. And we know 2 squared is 4. So is it 4? Yeah. So it checks out. So this is not too much different from what we've done before. You just have to make sure you're still writing both bases at the same, with each side with the same base. And then you have to make sure that when you take this exponent, this newfound exponent, whatever was already there, you have to distribute that to the inside. And once you get your alike bases, you just solve the equation. So let me give you some steps here. Step number 1 is you have to rewrite the bases. Step number 2, you have to simplify all exponents. That's where I have to take that 3 and multiply it into the parentheses. And then number 3 is set exponents equal to each other. And number 4, you have to solve equation. So this isn't much different from what we had before, and hopefully you're okay with this, and thanks for watching.